Patrick Mahomes, three-time Super Bowl champion, two-time MVP, and the face of the Kansas City Chiefs, is at the center of a massive shockwave across the NFL. According to reports, Mahomes has stepped away from the team and made a stunning announcement that has completely changed the trajectory of his career and left fans in disbelief. Between unexpected setbacks, major organizational changes, and his sudden shift away from football-related decisions, questions are now being raised about whether this marks the end of his era in Kansas City. So what really happened? Let's break it all down in this video because you're not ready for this. The 2025 Kansas City Chiefs season was supposed to be redemption after falling short in Super Bowl licks against the Philadelphia Eagles. To miss a historic three-peat, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs entered the 2025 campaign as three-time defending AFC champions. With 7 consecutive conference title game appearances, the expectation was simple: get back to the mountaintop. What happened instead was a free fall. The Chiefs started 0-2 for the first time since 2014, dropping their opener and following it up with yet another loss. Including their Super Bowl licks defeat, it marked the first time Mahomes lost 3 consecutive starts in his career. The team clawed back to 5-3 entering a Week 9 showdown at Buffalo, still holding on to a wild card spot. But from that point forward, the Chiefs proceeded to lose all but one game the rest of the season. The Chiefs won 11 one-score games in 2024, the most in league history. In 2025, the regression to the mean was brutal. Close games that once broke their way now fell apart in the final minutes. Penalties, turnovers, and a roster that had been stretched thin by years of salary cap gymnastics caught up to them in the worst way. Mahomes himself could see it. "We've got to be better. We've lost too many games already," he said after a gut-wrenching Monday Night Football loss to the Jaguars. But being better wasn't an option this roster was equipped for. For the third consecutive season, the Chiefs' offense was underwhelming, ranking 20th in points per game and 17th in yards per game. Far too often, Mahomes was forced to scramble. Due to the Chiefs' inability to scheme receivers open, the offense fell entirely on his shoulders. And then came Week 15. December 14th, 2025, Arrowhead Stadium. Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Chargers. With just under 2 minutes to go and the Chiefs down by 3 points, Mahomes rolled to his right to try to keep his team's playoff hopes alive, but was rolled up on by Los Angeles defensive lineman Deshaun Hand. The 30-year-old went to the ground and looked to be in serious pain, before eventually being helped off the field and taken to the locker room by trainers. Backup quarterback Gardner Minshew took over and, on a game-deciding play, threw an interception to Chargers safety Derwin James. Sealing the loss, the Chiefs were eliminated from playoff contention for the first time since 2014. But the loss on the scoreboard was nothing compared to what came next. An MRI confirmed Mahomes had suffered a torn ACL and LCL in his left knee, one of the most devastating injuries a football player can endure. The three-time Super Bowl MVP hyperextended his left knee and tore both his ACL and LCL. The Chiefs' 10-year playoff streak, the longest active run in the NFL, shattered. His 7 consecutive AFC Championship game appearances fell one short of Tom Brady's record. And just like that, the dynasty, the back-to-back championships, the 5 Super Bowl trips in 6 years, was on its knees, literally. Kansas City finished the year 6-11, their worst record since Mahomes became the starting quarterback, and their first losing season since 2012. The empire didn't just end, it broke into a million pieces. What followed the injury was unlike anything the NFL had seen from Patrick Mahomes, the man who had been synonymous with football, the guy who seemed to exist only on the field, scrambling, throwing sidearm, pulling off miracles, went quiet. He left the stadium in a brace. He had surgery the very next day, December 15th, in what was described as a remarkably fast turnaround. Undergoing surgery the day after suffering torn ligaments in your knee is relatively unprecedented, given both the time it generally takes to gather second opinions, as well as waiting for any swelling to go down. But it was his statement afterward that turned heads. "Don't know why this had to happen," Mahomes wrote on X. "And not going to lie, it hurts. But all we can do now is trust in God and attack every single day over and over again." And then, in words that sounded almost like a farewell before a promise, "I will be back stronger than ever." For weeks, Mahomes disappeared from public view in a football context. No sideline appearances during the Chiefs' final 3 games. No rah-rah speeches to the media. The team limped through the rest of the season, failing to reach 200 yards of offense in both games without Mahomes, managing just 1 offensive touchdown across those 2 contests. Minshew got hurt in Week 16, and third-string quarterback Chris Oladokun started the final 2 games, both losses. Meanwhile, Mahomes was staying in Kansas City to rehab, a significant departure from his usual routine. Head coach Andy Reid said Mahomes would remain in Kansas City to continue his recovery throughout the offseason, a notable change for the 3-time Super Bowl champion, who usually heads home to Texas with his family in between NFL seasons. He was grinding, but he was grinding in silence. No interviews, no social media football content. The man who had been the NFL's poster child for nearly a decade had effectively stepped away, and the world around him started to crack even further. The Chiefs entered the 2026 offseason more than $57 million over the salary cap. The front office began slashing the roster. Mahomes' own contract was restructured, converting $54.45 million of his salary to a signing bonus, lowering his 2026 cap hit from $78.2 million to $34.65 million, and freeing up roughly $43.56 million in cap space. The move gave the team breathing room, but it also pushed his cap number to over $85 million for 2027. A financial time bomb ticking in the background. Then the departures began. Defensive end Mike Dana, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, was released to clear another $8.9 million in cap space. Right tackle Jawan Taylor, who signed a 4-year, $80 million contract before the 2023 season, was cut, saving $20 million. Running back Isaiah Pacheco, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, who had been a key part of the backfield since 2022, was deemed likely to leave in free agency. Even the coaching staff wasn't immune. Mahomes' offensive coordinator departed, prompting an emotional farewell on Instagram. "Thank you, coach, for everything. Made me a better player and man." The franchise was gutting itself, while its franchise quarterback lay on a trainer's table, day after day in a knee brace. While the football world wondered if Mahomes would ever be the same player again, the quarterback was making moves that had nothing to do with football. And this is where the story takes a turn. In November 2025, just weeks before the knee injury, Mahomes signed a new multi-year contract extension with Adidas, expanding his role beyond football and into golf. The deal was significant. Mahomes became the first non-golf Adidas athlete to launch his own golf line, a historic distinction in the company's history. This wasn't a simple endorsement deal. This was a true brand collaboration, where Mahomes was helping shape the creative direction of the product line. Adidas Golf president Jeff Leonhardt said Mahomes was the most vocal Adidas athlete showing interest in golf, and that it was Mahomes himself who first expressed interest in working with the company further. Patrick is the tip of the spear in terms of all the athletes we can tap into, from around the brand that are in other sport categories, but have a passion for or an interest in golf. Leonhardt said the initial approach would involve smaller capsule collections to test the waters and determine where there's traction. This was followed by another headline-grabbing venture. In 2025, Mahomes and his longtime teammate Travis Kelce opened 1587 Prime, a luxury steakhouse in downtown Kansas City. The name, a combination of their jersey numbers, 15 and 87, became an instant conversation piece in the city. The restaurant, housed inside the Lowe's Kansas City Hotel, spans nearly 10,000 square feet across 2 floors and features private dining rooms, premium dry-aged cuts, and one of Missouri's most extensive wine lists. It wasn't without turbulence. A viral TikTok review called it the worst fine dining experience the reviewer had ever had, describing a $650 dinner marred by slow service and mediocre food. On top of that, a company called 1587 Sneakers filed a trademark lawsuit, claiming it had used the 1587 mark since April 2023. Before the restaurant was even announced, a federal judge rejected the emergency shutdown request. But the legal dispute continues. Then came the Adidas moves at Texas Tech. Mahomes had been instrumental in brokering a 10-year partnership between Adidas and his alma mater. And in late 2025, he launched Team Mahomes, signing 6 Texas Tech student athletes to NIL endorsement deals. He also announced a significant donation to the university's athletics department to help complete the $240 million South End Zone and Dustin R. Womble Football Center project. He was building a brand, building a legacy, and none of it had anything to do with throwing a football. In April 2026, the steakhouse announced it had been nominated for the 2026 Kansas City favorites in categories including fine dining, steak, wine selection, and specialty cocktails. Mahomes and Kelce, despite the turmoil around them in football, were building an empire off the field. For fans watching from the outside, the optics were startling. Their quarterback, the one recovering from a torn ACL and LCL, the one whose team had just finished 6-11, was launching golf lines, running restaurants, signing college kids to NIL deals, and making donations to football facilities that weren't Arrowhead Stadium. It felt like Mahomes had quit the Chiefs, but while Mahomes was making headlines off the field, the Chiefs' front office was making moves that suggested they had no intention of letting him walk away from football. The Chiefs restructured Mahomes' contract to create massive cap relief, then used that room to begin a thorough reconstruction. The veteran departures were painful but calculated. Every dollar saved was reinvested in a future that still centered on number 15. The Chiefs signed Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III as a free agent to overhaul their running game, pairing him with an offensive line anchored by All-Pro center Creed Humphrey, Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith, and 2025 first-round pick Josh Simmons at left tackle. The message was clear. When Mahomes comes back, he won't be carrying the offense alone anymore. The team also traded for veteran quarterback Justin Fields from the New York Jets, as both a backup and a potential short-term starter if Mahomes wasn't ready for Week 1. Andy Reid praised Fields publicly, saying he was ready to take the QB1 job if Mahomes wasn't available. Fields, a phenomenal athlete and dangerous runner, who showed improved accuracy during a 4-2 stint as the Steelers starter in 2024, was the insurance policy. Not a replacement, not a successor, a bridge. With 2 first-round picks in the 2026 NFL Draft at 9th and 29th overall, the Chiefs are positioned to send reinforcements. Receiver Rashee Rice was cleared to play without suspension. Travis Kelce signed a new 3-year deal worth $57.7 million. Speedsters Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton remained on the roster. The cupboard was being restocked. And then there were the whispers about the coaching staff. ESPN wrote that the Chiefs have a chance to face reality, re-examine everything in the organization, and try to reboot for the second part of Mahomes' career. Roster, staff, scheme. Those were the 3 areas identified for overhaul. Mahomes is 30 years old, comfortably in his prime, with likely a lot of football left in him. ESPN argued the Chiefs should view him like something of a rookie again and build outward to maximize the next 5 to 10 seasons. The rebuild was happening at a speed no one anticipated. And it was happening for Mahomes, not in spite of him. Every contract restructure, every draft pick, every free agent signing pointed toward one conclusion. The Chiefs believed their quarterback was coming back, and they were going to make sure the team around him was better than the one that collapsed in 2025. Here is where the story turns from what looked like an ending into what might be the greatest comeback in NFL history. On March 25, 2026, exactly 100 days after surgery, Mahomes posted a 4-second video on Instagram of himself dropping back and throwing an intermediate pass inside a training facility. He wore a compression sleeve on his left knee. He planted, he followed through, clean, day by day. Felt great being able to throw the ball around today, he wrote. The football world erupted. Days later, Mahomes returned to Texas Tech to participate in the program's Pro Day, where he was on the field with several Red Raiders players and even made throws. While there, he stunned fans by presenting Texas Tech softball pitcher Nijeri Kennedy with the first golden ticket in the new ASL, guaranteeing her a spot in the league's inaugural draft. He was back at his alma mater, throwing footballs and making surprise announcements, all while technically still rehabbing from a career-threatening injury. The reports from inside the Chiefs facility only added to the growing sense that something extraordinary was happening. Andy Reid revealed Mahomes was spending 7 hours a day at the facility working with athletic trainer Julie Frymer. He keeps showing up. That's about half the battle on these things, Reid said. Reports from early March indicated Mahomes was ahead of his projected timeline. Then came the update from the top. Chiefs chairman and CEO Clark Hunt appeared on NFL Network's Good Morning Football and confirmed Mahomes' target return date. I was with Patrick a couple of days ago in our training room, Hunt said. Nobody works harder than Patrick. Hunt confirmed that Mahomes' rehab was ahead of schedule and that the organization remained optimistic he would be ready for September. Reid himself went further, shocking the football world by suggesting Mahomes could play as early as the preseason. Every player is different. I will tell you though, I would never bet against him, The head coach said, "So far, it's all been positive. He's doing great." Not everyone was so optimistic. Former sports medicine specialist Dr. David Chow stated bluntly, "There is no way for him to be 100% healthy for the start of next season." Chow compared the injury to Carson Wentz's 2017 ACL tear and noted that Wentz himself described his recovery as 18 to 24 months and did not start the following season for the Eagles. Former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III, who suffered a similar career-altering knee injury, even petitioned Mahomes publicly to sit out the entire 2026 season to avoid rushing back. But Mahomes had already made his position clear. "I want to be ready for week 1. He told reporters in January, "The doctor said I could, but I can't predict what happens throughout the process. That's the goal, to play week 1 and have no restrictions." So did Patrick Mahomes quit the Chiefs? No, he didn't quit anything. What he did was something far more calculated. He watched a dynasty crumble around him, absorbed the most devastating injury of his career, and used the time away from football to build a business empire. A golf line with Adidas, a high-profile steakhouse, NIL partnerships, and charitable investments at his alma mater, all while grinding through 7-hour rehab days and targeting a return timeline that medical experts called unrealistic. The quitting was an optical illusion created by a man doing 10 things at once, while the organization stripped down and rebuilt itself around him. Mahomes has many, many more years ahead. The Chiefs know it, his coaches know it, his owner knows it, and now with the 2026 draft approaching, free agent reinforcements arriving, and Mahomes throwing footballs again with a surgically repaired knee, Kansas City is positioning itself for something the rest of the league should be terrified of: a Patrick Mahomes comeback tour, backed by a completely rebuilt roster, with a chip on his shoulder the size of Arrowhead Stadium. The dynasty didn't die, it's reloading.